lovelies, it's Sasha, and today I have the smallest wrap-up I have ever had on this channel. So, flashback to September TBR where I was just like,
I have so many books to read, oh my god.
Like 5 for my Goodreads chooses my TBR game, and then like several on top of that, plus the book club pick, plus arcs. I think it totaled like 13 books. I read 5.
Here's our stuff is cheap, we are
full of shit. And I'm just gonna explain to you why. I have had a month of just pure chaos of going back to school and, you know, BTS destroying my life. So this is going to be the smallest wrap up I have ever done in my life. And I'm filming this 3 days before September is over because I know I won't read anything or finish anything this month. I just started The Last Magician because that was one of the Goodreads choosing my TBR books. Your girl's not reading that. Your girl's not reading that at all. On the Libby app, it has 941 pages.
Nope.
That is not today. So I'm returning that and we're just gonna start fresh at some other point. And I also was supposed to read a few other books for the Goodreads chooses my TBR video picking thing, but they didn't come in the mail, so that's not technically my fault. So, you know. And also, I had 2 arcs to read, and because I didn't know how to handle it, I deleted my NetGalley and ran. I just didn't want to read anything this month. I was just literally like not here for it. And I think it doesn't help that it took me 2 weeks to read the book club pick for the Winers book club because I hated it so much. But okay, so let's dive in and talk about the books, the 5 books I read this month. So the first book that I ended up reading in the month of September was The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed, and this was absolutely a 5 out of 5 star read for me. I don't know if you knew that by every other video I have talked about where I have raved about this book, but it is essentially about these 3 girls who start this anonymous group within their school to kind of like challenge and take down the misogynistic ideologies that are a part of their student body that have been considered normal for far too long. And they do this because there was a girl who was sexually assaulted and she was run out of town because nobody believed her. And so they did this injustice for her. And I love this. This was such a powerful, impactful story. Everything about this, the way that Amy Reed wrote this was incredible. 10 out of 10. Just top tier. Loved it so much. It was so powerful. Like I was literally like the entire time like, you know, so good. I read this specifically for plus size representation, and the plus size representation in this, it was fantastic. But there are also just some other amazing representation aspects within this story. There's really good Asperger's representation. There's really good queer representation. There's really good religious representation. Like there's just, the whole thing is just full of positive and powerful representation. So if you are looking for a very powerful book and you've somehow skipped the last like 7 videos I've done, please go read this because it's really, really good. The next book that I ended up reading this month was also for the plus size vlog, and that was The Sound of Stars by Alicia Doe. I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars. I really loved this book. This book was about near future US and I guess near future world, where the world was kind of taken over by this alien species called the Ilori, and the Ilori forbid anything that had to do with human creativity. So books, music, art, anything like that, it was completely forbidden. And Ellie, the main character, didn't like that. She loved reading books. Books were a really big part of her identity, so she ended up keeping a secret library, and one of the Ilori found the library, but instead of telling on her, he recruits her to help her save the rest of her kind from his kind, because he realizes what his kind is doing is really damaging and really negative, and he doesn't want that to be a thing anymore. So they go on this like road trip together across the country to like fight the Ilori together. It's really cute. I really liked it. I thought the writing was really, really well done. I thought the premise was, although definitely overused, it was well done, and I really enjoyed reading about it again because it gave me like the fifth wave vibes, which I did mention in the past video that I talked about it, but it was just done in a much more progressive and a much more entertaining way. And I feel like any of us who grew up loving the fifth wave, because I know I really loved it when it came out, I feel like you would also really love this because I just feel like it's a more mature and more progressive and more diverse version of the fifth wave, and it's really, really good. I didn't like the ending, and I think that's that's why I ended up giving it the 4 stars, because the ending felt so jumbled and I felt so lost. I was listening to it on the audiobook, so maybe that is like part of the reason, but I just felt so lost. I didn't understand what was going on. I was like, girl, are you good? And like, what is happening? A lot of things happened very quickly, very just like abruptly, and you just had to stop and be like, hello? So didn't like the ending, but I really liked the rest of it. So it was definitely a really great read, and I do recommend it for any sci-fi lovers out there who are just looking for something that is super quick and super easy to read. Plus, this does focus on a main character who is Black, she is fat, and she is queer. She, I believe, is ace. I can't remember exactly, but it was in my last video, which I will link down below. It's just amazing to have all of that representation wrapped up into one book, wrapped up into one really fun, really creative, really cool book. So I really liked it, and I hope you all read it. The next book that I ended up reading in the month of September was Faith Taking Flight by Julie Murphy, and this book was good. I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars, and that is by no means a negative rating at all. This book is about a girl named Faith who finds out that she has superpowers. So then we fast forward like a few months later, and her favorite TV show of all time is coming into her town to film, and she ends up meeting the lead actress in the TV show, whatever it is, and they end up like dating and becoming like close, and it was sapphic and my heart was bursting and I was like, yes. But yeah, and then there are all of these people and all of these animals going missing or like returning but going into like catatonic shock and not being able to be woken up and all of this stuff. And so Faith is trying to use her newfound superpower to try to figure out what is going on with all of these like weird disappearances and weird like catatonic situation. So she's just trying to figure everything out. I think this book had a lot of potential, but I don't think the execution really did anything for me. I didn't like how it felt like Julie Murphy just bit off more than she could chew, and she was just kind of like, let me throw all of this into the first book and then maybe we can resolve it in the second book. And it's just like, I would have liked us to maybe focus on the relationship between Faith and the other girl, but I don't do names, so that's gone. Instead of focusing on all of it at once and then kind of like adding maybe a little bit of like the disappearances and stuff throughout the story, and then having like a major disappearance or a major situation happen at the end. Because like, yes, a major situation happened at the end, but it felt too forced, and it felt too like everything was happening, so I didn't care that this one thing happened. I feel like this series just would work better as a slow burn type of series, but I still plan on picking up the second book. But yes, I did really like this. It just didn't like hit the mark completely, and that's okay. Sometimes that happens. The fourth book that I read this month is the bane of my existence. Like, we talked about how much I hated I'll Give You the Sun. Like, we've discussed this. We've talked about how popular it was and how much I hated it. Well, I might hate The Secret History more. It's definitely on like the same playing field of I'll Give You the Sun, where it was just like, it was so hyped up in my head that I was expecting it to be just this wonderful piece of literature, and it just, sure, maybe, I don't know, it works for some people, but it didn't work for me. I gave this 1 star, and I don't do that ever. Like, I don't give 1-star ratings, but like, it's not going to impact the book's like rating overall, really, because honestly, like, the book is so freaking hyped and everybody loves it and has like a 4.19 or whatever. It's so hyped up, and honestly, it doesn't work for me. It was okay. It was long. It was boring. It was pretentious. It was
2 hours later.
The characters all sucked. Like, all of the characters, I know they were supposed to suck, but it was almost like I couldn't get past how bad they were. And I'm very much a character-driven person. I love characters, and I like when characters have redeeming qualities. Because even Mick in the freaking live show for the Whiners Book Club was literally like, Sasha, I knew you were gonna hate this book. And I was like, a heads up would have been nice, because at least I would have gone into this with lower expectations, because like, oh my god, the characters were so bad. Like, literally, okay, did I even say what this is about? This is about this dude named Richard who moves from California to Vermont to go to a college, and he ends up going into this super elite college program where they're like studying Greek, and it's only with one professor for all of his classes, and there are only like 5 other students, and their lives kind of become really intertwined because they're literally together all the time, and one of these students ends up getting murdered by the rest of them together. Like, first degree murder. Like, we're not talking like an accident. Like, we are talking first degree plotted and planned murder. So let's discuss. Okay, I'm actually going to be doing a full rant review of this book, spoiler free of course, in the coming weeks, because I feel like I can't say everything within a wrap up, and I definitely didn't say everything in the live show because there were like 5 or 6 of us, and we all had thoughts and opinions. So I just definitely want to get my thoughts and opinions out there into the world. But I just did not like anything about this book. Like, honestly, like, every character, you were just like, what the heck? And then there were 2 characters where you were literally like, okay, maybe they're not bad, and then something happens toward the end of the book and you just have to be like, okay, they're awful. Like, they're not good. What I did like about The Secret History, not much, but you know, whatever. I love the setting of like schools that kind of give me like Oxford and Cambridge vibes. And this whole book gave me spooky season vibes. Like, it gave me fall vibes, but it didn't live up to the fall vibes hype. You know what I mean? So that's that. And I also did enjoy the writing. I did come for Mick in our group chat and I was like, her writing wasn't good. But like, it was good. It just, I'm a fetus and I didn't understand it a lot of the time. Like, she painted these pictures and it was some Bob Ross level of beauty in these pictures, and I was over here like finger painting. Like, my brain has not fully developed yet. I don't know a lot of things, and I sure as heck did not know what was going on for a good chunk of that book. I skipped over like a few pages of like the Greek stuff because honestly, like, it was going in one ear and out the other, and a lot of things were happening and I was processing a lot of it while I was at work, and I was just like, what am I supposed to have feelings for? I don't understand anything. And the whole situation sucked, and it took me two weeks. It took me 2 weeks to read this book. So that's that. So 1 star. Hated. 0 out of 10. Would not recommend. But I would recommend it if you're smart. If you have a brain that has full capacity, that is ready to just brain fully, please read The Secret History, because like, I'm sure you'll get something out of it. You'll be like, oh yes, Richard, everything you do makes sense. Meanwhile, I'm just sitting here being like, you know? So yes. I did end up finishing this month with a bang though, because I did end up reading The Grief Keeper by Alexandra Villasant, and I loved this book. So this book is about a girl named Marisol and her younger sister Gabby, who are caught coming across the border, and they are put into a detention center where they are trying to seek asylum in America because they're in danger in, I believe it was El Salvador, and they end up running away from the detention center, and they end up getting picked up by this woman who says that she will take them to New York, where their destination was going to be. But instead, they find out that in order for them to get asylum in the US, Marisol needs to take part in this experiment where she will hold somebody's grief. So she will hold somebody who has been through something really traumatic, like a veteran or somebody who is suffering from PTSD for another reason. She will hold their grief for them, and this new project, this new technology was supposed to help cure PTSD, or at least help temper PTSD. And so she was like, yeah, of course I'll do it if it means I can keep my sister safe. And the only hitch in the plan is that she ends up starting to fall for the girl that she is supposed to be holding her grief. So it was sapphic, which yes, 10 out of 10, love sapphic. We saw a lot of really cute sapphic moments. I really liked it. It was really well done. The writing was really great. It was engaging to read about. It was funny. It was hard-hitting. It was impactful. And I just really overall enjoyed the atmosphere that the story brought, and I wish I had read this sooner in the month because I feel like it would have helped get me out of a reading slump. But I'm also just really happy I got to read it in general. I'm so happy that my library had it, but also I kind of wish I had bought it because it was really fantastic. That is it. That is all that I read in September. I can't believe I had such a crappy reading month, but I have some really great books planned for the month of November. It is not November. Y'all, the days are blending together. Like, my friend and I were talking and we were like, low-key thought we were in May for a hot second. Like, So, the month of October, I am hoping to have a more successful reading month because I have a lot of books that I'm rereading and I have a lot of books that I've had on my TBR for a while. So, I'm hoping that that will give me a little bit of incentive and motivation to get to those. But yes, thank you for tuning into this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more content twice a week. And please go put some of these books on your TBR or remove one of them from your TBR, you know. I think a lot of my subscribers would really like some of these books. So as always, they will be linked in the description below. So yes, thank you for tuning in, and until next time, bye readers!